The introduction. On a chilly autumn morning in the small town of Maplewood, the morning fog clung stubbornly to the ground, casting a ghostly pallor over the quiet streets. The sun struggled to break through, its heavy beams slowly dissolving the mist, revealing worn cobblestones, slick with moisture and centuries of history. This quaint town, known for its charming Victorian homes and tight-knit community, was juxtaposed with secrets that lay hidden beneath its seemingly serene surface. As custodian of many untold stories, the Maplewood Historical Society had long been a refuge for local lore, but none would be as haunting as the tale that was soon to unfold. When local librarian Anna Turner discovered an old police report while sorting through archival materials, she unearthed a case frozen in time, a cold case that had long been shrouded in neglect. In the autumn of 1998, young Emily Hawthorne, a bright 15-year-old with dreams of moving to the city, disappeared without a trace. The townsfolk still whispered about her joy for life, and how she'd often be found sketching in the park, her pencil dancing across the paper. Little did they know, her disappearance would tattoo itself indelibly into the fabric of Maplewood, leaving a dark imprint that festered under the surface for years. With a growing sense of unease, Anna felt compelled to delve deeper into Emily's life, piecing together fragments of a story that had remained silent for far too long. It was time for Maplewood to confront its demons, buried but not forgotten. The victim, Emily Hawthorne, was a constellation of possibilities, her laughter echoing in the halls of Maplewood High, a sound that some could still hear in the quiet corners of town. She had a magnetic charm about her long chestnut hair that framed her heart-shaped face, and eyes that sparkled with a blend of mischief and curiosity. She lived with her single mother, Sarah, in a modest bungalow adorned with wind chimes that danced like fairies in the breeze. To the townspeople, Emily was simply one of theirs, a bright light illuminating the path of childhood innocence. Yet, behind that radiant facade lay an undercurrent of adolescent turmoil. Emily often felt trapped by the weight of expectations, both self-imposed and otherwise. She would disappear for hours at a time, retreating into the solace of Maplewood's expansive park, sketching landscapes that spoke of stories yet untold. Her notebook filled with aspirations that sparkled like ephemeral stars. But the last week of her life was tinged with an anxiety that gnawed at her. Friends noticed her late-night absences, whispered secrets, and an uncharacteristic distance that crept between them. It was as if Emily was caught in an inescapable web, threads slowly tightening around her. Many tried to reach out, but each time they did, they were met with a practiced smile that shrouded her growing despair. As she walked the corridors of high school, Emily's laughter faded, leaving behind an echo that would turn haunting as the day of her disappearance approached. Every loving memory was now laced with sorrow, a poignant reminder of the vibrant girl who had slipped away and left behind questions nobody dared to voice. The town's innocence would soon shatter, revealing the truths buried beneath layers of complacency. The crime scene. The sun had risen reluctantly on October 15, 1998, canvassing Maplewood in a muted palette of gray and gold. The tranquility of the park was shattered when a local jogger stumbled upon a curious object, partially covered by fallen leaves. The initial thrill of discovery quickly turned into a cold dread when she realized it was Emily Hawthorne's sketchbook, the spine worn and pages slightly frayed. Word of the discovery spread through town like wildfire, igniting panic and disbelief. The serene park, often the backdrop for laughter and youth, morphed into an unsettling crime scene. Officers cordoned off the area, drawing bright yellow tape across the pathways where children once played freely. Investigators examined the scene meticulously, snapping photographs of every detail, while the air hung thick with sorrow and uncertainty. Amidst scattered leaves whispering tales of the past, the park seemed to mourn Emily's disappearance. In the center stood a gnarled oak tree, its branches stretching like skeletal fingers, casting long shadows on the ground where Emily had once sat and sketched her dreams. The nearby grassy knoll held the weight of too many emotions fear. Anger, guilt intertwined as parents hugged their children closer, eyes darting nervously around the periphery. From the start, the investigation faced a storm of confusion when the initial search turned up no other leads. The police brought in 9 units, scouring the terrain for clues, while the flickering hope of finding Emily alive began to dip. As residents gathered at the edge of the tape, the weight of fear seeped into the community, setting in motion a critical chain of events that would change Maplewood forever. The early investigation. In the wake of Emily Hawthorne's disappearance, the Maplewood Police Department quickly mobilized, assembling a task force of seasoned detectives and eager recruits alike. At the helm was Detective Michael Roberts, a veteran investigator with a furrowed brow and a reputation for tenacity. He stood at the entrance of the park, his sharp blue eyes scanning the area, piecing together fragments of Emily's life in search of a thread to follow. The immediate focus was Emily's last known whereabouts. Witnesses recalled seeing her at a local cafe just days before her disappearance, sketching and chatting with friends. The cafe staff described her demeanor as distracted, noting she had seemed preoccupied, even anxious. Detective Roberts arranged for a sweep of every establishment within a 5-mile radius that Emily frequented, hoping for more information. As the week wore on, interviews unfolded in a rhythm tinged with urgency. Friends were questioned repeatedly, each recounting where they had last seen her, the concerns they had for her well-being, and their fear that something or someone had stifled her vibrant spirit. It became painfully clear that the more they probed, the more parallel paths emerged. Each friend harbored their own suspicions, each thought leading to a twisted narrative. With scant physical evidence to guide them, investigators tracked down Emily's social media accounts, uncovering a troubling pattern of online conversations that hinted at shadows lurking in the corners of her life. Cryptic messages revealing she was in conflict with a mysterious individual ignited a new vein of inquiry. Who was this person? Did they play a role in her vanishing? As the days turned to weeks, the hope of finding Emily yielded to despair, yet the community spirit hardened. Task forces became infamous for their sleepless nights, drowning in a sea of uncertainty. New lead could be the one that unlocked the truth beneath Maplewood's composed exterior. The dead ends. As the investigation unfolded, the initial urgency began to wane, giving way to a disheartening cycle of false leads and missed opportunity. Detective Roberts, accompanied by his dedicated team, combed through thousands of tips, each promising the possibility of bringing Emily home. Many of the calls came from well-intentioned citizens, pouring their hearts into reports, but few yielded tangible results. Each failed lead chipped away at the investigation's morale, deepening the sense of futility that hung heavy in the precinct. Days turned into weeks, and the small town whispers morphed into a cacophony of speculation. Conspiracy theories burgeoning as tightly knit communities often turned to mistrust. A mysterious van seen parked near the park on the day of Emily's disappearance was scrutinized. Its owner, an elderly man with a history of mental illness, was cleared after extensive interviews. He had merely been watching the ducks, completely oblivious to the chaos spiraling around him. As the autumn leaves fell like harbingers of despair, the team found themselves retracing their steps, combing through the park once again, hoping to stumble upon anything that would serve as a lifeline of clarity. Detective Roberts believed there had to be a connection, some invisible thread binding witnesses and suspects alike. Yet every path seemed to lead to an impenetrable wall. Emotional fatigue permeated the precinct as detectives shuffled through files night after night, glancing at photographs of Emily that now felt more like memories than hope. Days that once burned bright in the minds of the townspeople had dimmed, relegated to the shadows of old case files collecting dust. Muffled conversations about that girl who went missing turned solemn, like a recurring nightmare that refused to end. The absence of closure morphed into a profound ache felt by the entire community. The inked cries of a young life, vanished too soon, weighed heavily on the hearts of all who once knew her. A break in the case. Just as the chill of winter began to take hold over Maplewood, a flicker of hope emerged when a local resident reported a forgotten detail. Susan Miller, a waitress at the cafe where Emily had last been seen, recalled a conversation with a regular customer that had slipped from her memory until now. The man, described as unassuming with dark hair and a penchant for discussing music, had engaged her in odd chatter about the intensity of youth and fleeting moments just days after Emily's disappearance. His musings had felt unsettlingly out of place, but at the time she regarded them as mere philosopher's whims. This unexpected tip reignited the investigation, drawing renewed vigor among the team at the precinct. Detective Roberts sprang into action, requesting surveillance footage from the cafe, hoping to gain a clearer portrait of the enigmatic man. It took mere hours before they unearthed a striking image. A figure loitering outside the cafe, looking not just for coffee, but seemingly for someone or something else entirely. With this new lead in hand, officers canvassed the neighborhood surrounding the cafe, searching for residents who might recognize the man. Weeks of stagnation that had led investigators and community members alike to the brink of despair seemed to lift as whispers of fresh hope spread through the townsfolk. As the edges of the investigation sharpened, every small detail grew significant. Neighbors remembered odd encounters, and friends recalled vague threats surfacing in conversations past. Detective Roberts instructed his team to compile all information, descriptions, movements, and patterns about the man who seemed to infiltrate Emily's final days. Late nights returned, the sound of shuffling papers mingling with the rhythm of distant worry, as families braced themselves for the outcome of this new pursuit. Amid the snow-laden streets of Maplewood, it was as if the town held its breath, waiting, longing for a resolution that had felt so elusive until now. With everything the community had endured, there was a balance of hope and trepidation. What if they were finally on the brink of uncovering the truth? The suspect. With urgency threading through the precinct, the detectives focused intently on the man identified as Gabriel Ternera, name that flickered through the files like an ember waiting to ignite. At 32, he was an aspiring musician, known for fleetingly drifting through town and engaging in the oddest conversations, often with a tone that made the listener shiver. Digging into his past, the team learned that Turner had a history of erratic behavior, Neighborhood whispers spoke of emotional instability and a propensity for obsession over youthful women. The quiet facade of his unassuming apartment on the edge of town revealed nothing of his tumultuous nature. Darkened windows, overgrown weeds, and peeling paint suggested neglect rather than chaos. Yet, as detectives approached, a nagging sense of unease filled the air. Something about the place felt ominous, if it were holding its breath. Upon entering, they were met with an overwhelming scent of stale cigarette smoke, mingling with a cacophony of scattered music sheets and empty takeout containers. Among the chaos, they searched for any sign of Emily's presence. Hours ticked by as they delved deeper into his world, turning over belongings. They found sketches that mirrored some of Emily's styles, tags that seemed familiar. Each finding was a chilling reminder of the artistic bond between Emily and the man who may have taken her life. In the dusty corners of one room, they found a faded photograph of Emily pinned above a tattered poster of a band she adored. Yet there was no direct proof tying Turner to her disappearance. While incriminating evidence swirled around him, it was as if an invisible barrier kept them from fully reaching out and grasping the truth. Detective Roberts was resolute. They needed to approach this delicately. Pressing too hard might send Turner into hiding or worse, jeopardizing everything they had unearthed thus far. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, they prepared for surveillance, keen to capture any glimpse of routine or guilt. Maplewood's chill deepened outside, as atmospheric dread mingled with hope. The town poised at the precipice of uncovering the secrets locked away in the shadows. The trial. The courtroom stood as a stark arena of scrutiny, its air electric with anticipation as citizens of Maplewood gathered to witness a story that had lingered in their collective memory for far too long. It was a crisp autumn morning, and the leaves outside vibrated with shades of orange and gold, mirroring the turmoil of emotion inside. At the center of it all was Gabriel Turner, now a figure of both intrigue and horror, his expression blank. But deep in his eyes lay remnants of a vivid past that spoke volumes. As the trial began, every detail of Emily's disappearance was laid bare, thrust into the unforgiving light of justice. The prosecution meticulously recounted the evidence, the sketches in Turner's apartment that echoed Emily's style, the unsettling conversations he'd had with multiple witnesses, and the quick leaps of psychological assessments that painted him as an unstable individual, capable of harboring dark intentions. Each piece of testimony was laced with hope for closure. Yet the weight of each word felt like a heavy anchor dragging the community further into grief. The defense countered with assertions of innocence, weaving a narrative that questioned the credibility of the witnesses while producing a character portrait of an artist misunderstood. They painted Turner not as a predator, but as an eccentric man struggling with his demons, one whose life intersected momentarily with a tragedy that he bore no responsibility for. It was a dance of rhetoric, feelings swirling through the room like autumn winds, stirring emotions as memories flooded back Emily's laughter, her sketches, her vibrant dreams. Despite the chaos, Detective Roberts sat quietly in the back, observing, his resolve steeped in the conviction that justice would prevail. Each witness took the stand, voices wavering with emotion as they recounted their fragments of Emily's life, their laughter and light, now warped to shadows of mourning. As the days of the trial bled into one another, the tension in the courtroom peaked. On the brink of the verdict, Maplewood held its breath, the scale of justice poised precariously in a balance that could tip towards either redemption or despair. After what felt like an eternity, the jury filed in, the weight of their decision echoing in the whispers that filled the air like a lingering specter. What would it mean for the town? What resolution awaited Emily's narrative in this chapter, filled with both anguish and hope for the community fighting to mend its wounds? The aftermath. The courtroom door swung open with a finality that sent a shiver through those waiting outside. The verdict had been read. Guilty. Gabrielle Turner, once a fixture of artistic ambition, now a convicted felon, was led away in handcuffs. A wave of sorrowful gasps echoing in the stillness. The feeling of closure washed over Maplewood, yet it mingled uneasily with profound grief for a life lost far too soon. In the weeks that followed, the town engaged in a communal mourning, rekindling an identity that had been fractured by fear and uncertainty. Memorials sprang up in the park where Emily had once sketched, vibrant flowers lying in the hay of autumn leaves as local artists contributed mural designs capturing her spirit. Emily's story transformed from one of tragedy into a call for unity. The school organized art programs in her honor, seeking to inspire a new generation through creativity and compassion. Yet behind the scenes, the echoes of unresolved pain lingered. Detective Roberts wrestled with haunting memories of the case, a lingering question that looped through his mind. How could it have happened in a town that seemed so idyllic? Each piece of evidence haunted him further. The sketches, the conversations, each thread intertwined with an unsettling tapestry of how closely they could have lost sight of one another. Emily's disappearance became a catalyst for change, igniting conversations about mental health, awareness, and the signs that often go unnoticed amongst friends, even in tight-knit communities. The townspeople began to share their own vulnerabilities, grappling with the darkness within, fostering an environment where discussing emotional struggles became a path to healing rather than stigma. As winter cascaded gently into spring, the shadows cast by Emily's absence slowly began to lighten, facing the warmth of renewal and hope. The park, once a backdrop for sorrow, transformed into a vibrant place of gathering, laughter, and remembrance. People began to reclaim their lives, aware but vigilant, encouraged to look beyond the surface, embracing one another just a little more fierce. As Detective Roberts looked out over the newly adorned park one afternoon, a flicker of determination stirred within him. The story may have reached a resolution, yet the mission lived on of love, resilience, and unwavering compassion for those we hold dear. In each heart's crevices still echoed Emily's laughter, a reminder that shadows can be vanquished with understanding. Reflection. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over Maplewood, a sense of quiet reflection swept through the town. Detective Roberts walked the now vibrant paths of the park, pausing at the mural dedicated to Emily, a beautiful collage of colors and memories celebrating her spirit. The laughter of children playing nearby mingled gently with the whispers of leaves, a poignant reminder of life resilience despite the storm they had weathered. In solitude, he considered the journey that had unfolded over the past few months, the fear, the uncertainty, and the ripples of transformation that followed Emily's tragic disappearance. The town had emerged from the shadows, stronger yet tempered, with renewed vigor. Conversations that once seemed impossible to engage in were now commonplace. Discussions on vulnerability, and mental health echoed in cafes and homes alike. Though the wound of losing Emily would never completely heal, the community pulsed with enthusiasm, striving to ensure her memory flourished in the days ahead. The echoes of their struggles now intertwined with the lessons learned, providing a blueprint for resilience and compassion. As Detective Roberts reflected, it became clear that the tragedy had not just taken a life. It ignited a monumental reminder that love and connection reign supreme, a testament to the beauty of community when tested. With a deep breath, he vowed to remain vigilant, encouraging future conversations to resonate and blossom into the understanding that shaped a safer tomorrow, a future where every voice would be heard and every life cherished.